Hello, this is Catherine Dubberly, the Answer Lady. Recently I had a river problem, and now it's fixed, and I thought you'd like to see how it was done in case you ever have the same problem. Also, I'd like to introduce you to my husband. His name is Jack, and he's a mechanic, and he goes by Ask Jack when we're working together at seminars. This is my artisan mid-gauge machine. Recently, I had a problem with it that I think is bound to happen to other people, and you might like to see how to solve it. When I knitted the river carriage from right to left, it knitted just fine. When I attempted to knit back, about here, sometimes it would go bang, bang, and if I retracted, it would go ahead and knit across. But on some of the occasions when it was supposed to knit across, it would just hang a loop on each of these needles and not actually knit a stitch. And I checked my settings, and definitely I was not setting it wrong. So I removed the carriage, and I'm not an idiot or unmechanical. I looked around for things that could be going wrong. And what I found was that on one side, the side that works when you're moving from right to left, this lever snapped back as really fast as it should. But on the other side, it was sluggish. It went more like up, down, up, down. Now I fixed it, so it's snapping back, but it was sticky. Sometimes you even had to nudge it with your thumb. So I figured, aha, it's hitting here. And therefore, I looked for where you would think there would be crud. Under here, where the post and the spring arrangement that holds this flipper. And indeed, of course, there was some fuzz, and I dug it out with a dental tool, and I lubricated it what I thought was thoroughly, and it started snapping back beautifully. But I had the same problem. It didn't go away. And this is the point in my troubles at which I always ask Jack. Jack is my husband. He's a professional mechanic, not just a person with some practical inspirations like myself. Jack doesn't knit, but he does know machines better than I do. And he said, it's still got to be crud, making that thing sluggish. You need to use creeping oil. He uses the Croyle brand, and let it sit for a while. And then we'll dig out more crud. And you know what? He was right. I couldn't see any more fuzz. I had used this kind of thing to poke under there. I actually used a finer one, a real dental tool. This is a knitting tool. I got out a little more fuzz. To my eyes, it was an insignificant amount of fuzz. But now, as you can see, my carriage is knitting smoothly back and forth. I let the coil sit in there about 12 hours. And it's a kind of oil that works its way into little crevices. That's why it's called creeping oil. I don't know how it does it, but I have not missed a row knitting properly, and I have knitted something like 660 rows since then. I've been knitting scarves. That's how I know. Jack, how did you know that even though I had cleaned and lubricated the area that was in question, that was still the problem?
Because when one part rotates on another part, like a tube on a shaft, there's always something down inside of there. You can't see it. So you have to use a penetrating oil to get down in between those two parts.
So now you see why I asked Jack. Happy knitting, and bye now.